Hi. Hi there. And we're live. Hello, literally, Serge. Great to
Hello,
see
hello
you.
everyone.
So we have Serge at large. You got you on the go here.
On the go
Oh,
go, and here Michael is here as well, you guys.
Hey guys.
hi, Michael. Literally, Michael. So good to see both of you, gentlemen.
Good to
You
see
have
you
a
too.
little bit of a. Do you echo at all? I thought I hear one.
I'm hearing you okay right now.
Okay. All right. Good. How is everybody in the chat? Can you hear us okay? All right. So I won't keep you too long, but I really appreciate you talking to me today. And I have some questions that I want to put out to you in the form of phrases, devil's advocate type claims. And I
Okay.
want to get your take on those, if that's okay. Okay.
Okay.
So these are some things, phrases that have been floating around that I've been wondering what your take is. The first thing is, hmm, why now? Why are the second gens so, quote, angry? Why are they asking questions now? What is happening as far as, this surge of, um, unrest, dissent, questioning? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, my first take on that would be why now? Literally, how are we on the year 2024 and these subjects are just starting to come up for air? You know that ever since I've ever spoken about, I've always been speaking the same exact thing, which is children could have not in any way, shape, or form consented to what they were being subjected to. And in what world has it taken to this year to be speaking on these facts that have never changed? It's not like kids are now more in danger than they were before. It's always the same in that exact hotel because everyone is applying the same policies. And the gatekeeping has spoken for itself. I mean, in what world has this message not come out? I always say, like, where are the parents coming forward and calling themselves out? Why should it be us, the third generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation? Why is it us that have to be making these points? In a world of accountability, it would be them calling themselves out. It would be them acknowledging the reckoning that is overdue AF because, again, it's like, who needs advocates in a hotel full of underage kids manned by adults that are delusional? I'm sorry, but everybody's been focusing on the adults making bad decisions for themselves, while at the same time, those exact same adults are making bad decisions for the kids that are inside of the hotel, being told that they are adults, being treated as such. And, we're talking in the case of Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Frankie that we just covered as we spoke. It's called aggregated child abuse, and it's a felony. When you have all the aspects that were literally our childhood, growing up neglected, growing up being essayed, growing up being terrorized, that's not called a religion. I'm sorry. Like, that's your delusion, and it's time for all of them to grow up. That's what it's called. Grow up. Because in the case of the Scientology parents, they self infantilized. They were playing a game, they were saving a world. And you know what? They could have done that if everyone there was 21 and up.
Right.
But they never put a shred of guardrails between them and anyone 21 and under that could have not consented to what they know they are exposing every single child to. This is a case, Marilyn, where it's not like Ruby Frankie sent them to Jody Hildebrandt and then Jody Hildebrandt did something crazy that Ruby had no idea what it was.
Right.
It was literally, they know what it is to audit a child. They know what it is to groom a child on a course. They know what it means to do an ethics handling on a child. And none of those three things that I just said, which is all Scientology is nothing but audits, ethics handlings, and courses. 3 pillars. That's it. Everybody acts all confused. And is it this? And is it Sinu? And is it this? It's nothing. It's courses, audits, and ethics handlings. And the fact that those 3 things get done on kids with this complete, unthinkable, indefensible administrating these things on children is indefensible. And all Scientology parents need to be joining the conversation, defending it. By all means, we dare you all to defend it.
Yeah.
We dare you. Because today we are adults in adult bodies. So in what world has the alarm not been sounded since the inception of L. Ron Hubbard pitching these disgusting, despicable, abominable practices that, again, done on children is a complete and utter abomination, and it's not our opinion. This is a black and white matter. Child abuse is one of those few issues in the whole wide world where we cannot have 50 shades of gray.
Right. Absolutely. And what do you say to the people that say, well, first of all, I just want to, call everyone's attention to the title here, literally, Serge, holding Scientologists, not Scientology, Scientologists accountable, because it's not a building or a religion or anything that's doing these crimes. It's the Scientologists, it's people. It's people, right? So what do you say to the people that are saying, well, everyone who has, witnessed these crimes that were at the top of the ladder at Gold Base that have escaped and left 20 years ago or 15 years ago have regular contact with the FBI? What's happening?
Well, that's exactly a very good point too, Marilyn. And I did another video this week calling on the FBI because the FBI is getting sued by the Epstein victims for not doing anything to protect minors when there was plenty of calls made to the FBI. There was plenty of evidence that was gathered that kids were at risk, underage kids. Now, never mind that the Epstein victims didn't have the industrial size amount of children that were underage, even below 12. We're talking infant kids. I was an infant kid that grew up in this. Laura was, Jenna was. Like, we're talking our extreme formative years, right? So it's even a level down under on these crimes committed on kids that aren't even teenagers. Like, literally, we were definitely abused as teenagers, but before that, they had us in our formative years. So it's a crime that is actually exponentially worse than whatever Ghislaine and disgusting Jeffrey Epstein did, as despicable as it was, and as it was allowed to take place in Florida, right? Because, like, the common denominator here is Florida and Epstein, where you can traffic kids and get away with it, and as long as you're influential and powerful, all manner of people in Florida will look all manner of ways away from the problem to purport that everything is fine and dandy. So the FBI is either 1000% complicit with everything these people are doing to kids inside of those hotels, because Mike Rinder, Claire Headley, and all the people that have purported to have been really informing them about everything that's going on in the hotels, told them everything. The audits of the kids, the grooming of the kids, the unthinkable laundering of felonies inside of these so-called audits. It's either that, and then the FBI said, okay, well, better luck next lifetime. I don't think that we care about that.
Yeah.
It's either that. Again, it's like, adults were paying for our time, $500 an hour and more, to be inside of a hotel room with us with massage tables. So the whole thing about Epstein was him and his massages. Well, over here is massages on steroids. Every room had a massage table. Every room there were minors going in and out with adults. So yeah, where in the hell is the FBI doing anything about it? Because they are getting sued for always bungling all investigations to do with children. In what world can they be funded by the taxpayers of this country, and then they have the worst history of paying attention to any of these, when you need the investigators to be at their most intelligent, not dumb, not idiots that cannot connect a single dot and, oh, we were told it was this and we were told it was that. You don't run investigations by being told. You go and find out what in the hell is going on, and it's like in Scientology, they made it easy for them because the FBI already went and raided these people. The FBI is aware of how much corruption and how much receipts these people keep on themselves. Like, it's unprecedented, Maryland. Like, no other institution, no other so-called religion keeps the type of receipts on themselves the way these people do. So it's like we always get told, it's like, oh, it's going to be such a hard case to prove and all these things are going to be so complicated. BS. L. Ron Hubbard told his proteges to video record everything, to transcribe everything as it was going on. So in what world is it difficult to prove a case where you have receipts like no other criminal institution has ever kept on themselves? Literally. So where is the FBI? And what are they telling them? And are they telling them everything and they're doing nothing? Or are they all just playing dumb and having a party while kids just continue to suffer in another year and nothing ever gets done because everyone's running around playing dumb? That's what it's called.
Yeah. What do you say to those who say, well, I was in the hole, or I didn't see it, I didn't hear it, I didn't know they had children. I didn't know Bob Ferris had children. I didn't know that Miriam's mom had a child. I didn't know. What did they do for 120 hours a week? That's what I want to know.
Well, Marilyn, the problem is that Scientology is a paramilitary intelligence operation. Bob Ferris, they knew everything about Bob Ferris. Before you even get inducted into their intelligence agency, they need to know everything there is to know about your family, how many kids you had, if you have any type of, child support that you need to. They know everything about you. Like, there's a form called life history before anyone can qualify to be in the Sea Org, because the whole thing is very CIA, right? Many are called, few are chosen. Oh, you have to be so elite to work with us. You have to have such high IQ. You have to have such high qualifications. Well, no shit. You have to have all these high qualifications, but they all knew that they had kids. Nobody is in those hotels that they don't know every single thing about that person's life. So they couldn't be more complicit. They couldn't be more in bed. They couldn't be more incestuous about what in the hell they're doing. And this is not an operation where, again, people didn't know. Like, the operation called for knowing everything. And just like we saw on that receipt that came up on Jenna's live with Aaron yesterday, down to the point where Mike Rinder is typing that a minor, Jenna Miscavage, a child that was trafficked under his watch. Jenna was in the Sea Org after 1993 when the IRS gave them the permission to call themselves whatever in the hell they're calling themselves, right? And with his own fingers typed that Jenna was a psychotic. Like, let that sink in, who that man is. Projecting that Jenna is a psychotic, because it's not funny. It's disgusting and indefensible that a grown man would type something like that. With what certificates? With what knowledge could you ever project on a child that we were psychotic? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like that man did 2-week courses inside of a hotel and acted like a know-it-all, like little Mister. Oh yeah, I know everything. I really know everything. And it's like, Maryland, they were experts at their own cartel. That's all they were experts at, L. Ron Hubbard was their daddy figure, and they were like, oh yeah, no one be critical of L. Ron Hubbard. And just like that, all kids ended up compromised and under the literal thumb of these thugs, these child trafficking thugs.
So again, playing the devil's advocate, right? What do you say to the excuses that not only, either I was in the hole or they're so high up, right, at the gold base that they don't know what's going on at the little orgs and all that. Like, for example, Marisa Diane Eddix, we all know and love her. Her nephew passed away in a house fire, which is, I can, really, that gets to me because I lost several of my relatives in a house fire. And the mother had to work day and night at the org. And Marisa was handled by 3 thugs, as you would call them, from OSA to basically threaten her and to handle her and tell her to be quiet to the press. Now, the head of OSA, would they have known about that? I would think so. I don't know.
I mean, again, it's a system that was filtering information from the bottom to the top. The biggest flaps, so-called flaps, the biggest dangers to the organization always rose to the top. In fact, the people at the top act like they're so privileged, like that's their big clout. We get access to the top most sensitive information. I mean, again, going back to the intelligence parallel, right? Like the top brass of the CIA, the top brass of the blah. What do they get access to the most? Because they're what? Most trusted to handle what? Sensitive info. So all of these executives, the higher they were, the more they knew. Whether they wanted to or not is irrelevant. They were at the watchdog committee level, and you really want to claim that you weren't told of something that could have shut down your operation? I don't think so, sir. It's just, they're complete liars. They've been lying and lying and lying and sanitizing and telling half-truths and telling part of a withhold but not the rest, and misdirecting and misdirecting and misdirecting because they don't ever speak to the facts. They just regurgitate a whole bunch of blah, blah, blah that has nothing to do with taking accountability or repudiating what in the hell they normalize at an industrial size scale, or blowing the whistle so the other parents don't get ensnared in the disgusting, unthinkable, whatever in the hell they're calling it. Because again, Marilyn, it's like, in what world do you call enslaving kids at an industrial size scale anything other than a full-blown felony?
Yeah.
Like, your beliefs don't matter. Like, nobody's going around asking Jelaine what she thought she was doing when she scheduled massages for Epstein. Nobody cares what she was calling that time. If you commit a felony, then the courts show you, like, nobody cares. All these excuses you made about, well, we thought it was this and we thought it was that. We pitched it like this and then we pitched it like that. We were locked against our will inside of hotel rooms for hours on end. Why? That's called false imprisonment. That's another felony. Why are children locked up, bondaged, strapped to cans where we couldn't move? So yes, it's true. They didn't put us in actual literal handcuffs. But when we were there, stuck in that hotel room, with our hands strapped to the cans where we couldn't move, in what world? Our underage kids being unfeathered access to them. Unfeathered access. All Scientology parents co-signing, knowing what is going to take place in that session. This is not a Mike Rinder problem. This is Mike Rinder on down. Anyone that was a parent knew. And you expose your kids to that, and you're nowhere on the public record repudiating what in the hell you did. Ask Jody and Jill and Hildebrand what they've had to now put on the record that they were doing, and how little what they thought they were doing. Mind you, they were doing therapy and religion combined too, right? Because Hildebrand was a therapist, licensed, so-called licensed, and also so-called very religious figure, whatever. She was another multimillionaire YouTuber, right? Because as if YouTube didn't platform these women, as if YouTube didn't make them become multimillionaires while exploding their kids, literally for all America to watch. I mean, we're talking 2 million subscribers, Marilyn. How the hell did 8 Passengers have 2 million subscribers and no one in YouTube leadership knew? Because I mean, I guess the algorithm is just up to the algorithm, and that's all we get told, right? Meanwhile, our channels keep getting literally dinged because we're speaking and trying to advocate on what in the hell is being done to kids. I mean, how hard is it to advocate for kids? Like, how much harder can we possibly make it?
Absolutely. So, in talking to the FBI, is there? I hear this thing, present day problem or present time issue or whatever. I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitations are, but I hear things being thrown around like, well, the cadet org was canceled. They don't have that anymore. You got what you guys went through doesn't happen anymore. But I mean, I know there's still trafficking because I've seen even in Dublin recently, there were pictures of little kids, 10, 11, 12, that had gone through those horrible, purification rundowns and saunas. That's abuse, right? I mean, so frustrating.
Well, and that's the point, Marilyn, because the point is, again, Scientology is being applied to kids who cannot consent. So kids are being exposed to audits, ethics handlings, and grooming courses. The three things Scientology is those three things. They're nothing else. In those hotels, you can go get an ethics handling, you can go get an audit, or you can go and do a course. That's it. That's the only reason they exist. That's all L. Ron Hubbard's amazing technology ever was. Audits, ethics, or courses. That's it. So nothing that happened to us has been mitigated. Nothing that happened to us has been changed because the Scientology was delivered to us as kids. We were told we deserved that. We were told that our dignity didn't matter, that we were full-grown adults and that we needed to love it just as much as our parents, just as much as all the unhinged adults that went around purporting that this was a wonderful experience that we're having for themselves. Congratulations that y'all loved it so much. Congratulations about that. But we're saying, when I was there as a kid, it's taken to how many decades for me to understand the depravities that were literally normalized at scale.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people, Aaron was saying in his video this week that, yes, I opened his eyes to see this other stuff because he was never even considering himself a child. We never were allowed to. It was never something, and it's we're talking at the extreme level of depravity here. Like a child that is among adults that are going to consider him an equal. I mean, that's called danger. That's called danger for that child because, those adults are infantilizing themselves if they cannot come up with the maturity level to understand that reality is not something that you just, delude yourself into believing. And that's how all these horrors are being committed in the name of what? Benefiting who? Who benefits from all of this disgusting abuse and unthinkable betrayal? Like who?
Did you see, the stream that Mike Brown did with Children of Scientology with Christy and, Miriam? And he had receipts, and some of them had to do with his mom's, basically her essay or abuse by Ronnie Miscavige, and
Yeah.
I was shocked to see that Claire Headley had been one of the sec checkers, and that Rosemary was sent to the RPF for 6 years. Now granted, she was an adult at the time, but that is, I mean, that is me, and it just shows to me that they punish the victim and not the perpetrator. So if there's all these adults in the hotels that are abusing children and the children get punished, it's so messed up. Where's the accountability for the adults?
And that's the thing, Marilyn. I mean, abuse shouldn't happen in any way, shape, or form to anybody. And everyone can make a claim that they were all defrauded. And yes, they were, but so was Ruby Frankie, for that matter. Ruby Frankie was defrauded by the so-called licensed therapist, licensed religious, whatever in the hell. And it does not matter what you were told. If you get seduced into co-conspiring to commit a felony, it doesn't matter what you're calling it. If you get seduced to go to a bank and, rob a few million while you're at it, because you could be calling it, oh, I'm going to be the new Robin Hood, and I'm going to go give this money to the poor, and, this is my religious belief. I'm Robin Hood. I'm the reincarnation of Robin Hood. I mean, again, that's how pathetic this argument has been, that Scientology is this and Scientology is that, and because they believe in Sinu. I mean, how literally stupid can you think we are? It's literally called "Don't fuck us in front of us." That worked for y'all as we were kids, sure, but it's not working today. Today it doesn't work. Today it falls flat. Today all those excuses and narratives that they made up for themselves because, L. Ron Hubbard told us it would be a great idea. Well, it would be a great idea for y'all to grab your critical thinking skills and review your time in that hotel. And then grab the U.S. Constitution and review what it says there. And then grab a criminal attorney and tell him, how do I make it stop what in the hell I was a paid member to, a donor? How much money did you put into these hotels? That means that's how much skin they have in the game. Literally. That's the top donors of Scientology, the top sponsors of trafficking. You've given millions of dollars to a hotel that traffics kids at an industrial size scale, and then you want to walk out and then just be like, oh, never mind. I was abused, and aren't I such a victim? In what world? I mean, again, it's like, in what world? That's all we ever get. It's like, I was a victim. Everybody wants to be a victim. But you know what? The victims are the kids that are there right now. Even us that left. I mean, today we're adults and we're having to cope with our nails. We had to crawl ourselves out of being left for roadkill by these people. Because, yes, you're that effed up. It's a miracle that we are not, some of the ones that didn't have to off ourselves, like so many of our other kids that went through this with us. And including all the second generation and third generation that are there today, Marilyn, like my own sister. In what world are you treating your own child to what in the hell what you were normalized on you as a child? Like, you don't see the red flags? Like, seriously, like, that's what it's called. Like, this is called tough love. Wake the F up. Stop pretending you're special. You're not. The more you identify with L. Ron Hubbard, the more criminal liability you hold. How about that? That's called reality. Go check with Ruby Frankie how it worked out for her to make an excuse that locking up her children and subjecting them to sadistic, unthinkable punishments was something other than aggregated child abuse, which is a full-blown felony. It's what is in the books. We don't have to come up with a new law. We don't have to revise everything. The law already covers what they did to us as a felony. Absolutely. There is no excuse. There is no, I thought it was this, I thought it was that. I mean, how can it be that easy for all lawyers to sit there in America with a straight face purporting that they have no idea how any of this could be, prosecuted, because you know what? I mean, we really want to be respectful. Respectful to who? To depraved people that are literally stabbing kids? Your childhood is stabbed when these people have their way with you. You have none. You cannot recover. There's nothing to recover. Like even the whole justice system, it's like, yeah, sure, let's get some justice. Like our childhoods aren't gonna appear again. And all we're calling for is for no other kids to have to wake up in their midlife crisis where
Yeah.
we are at. Because we wouldn't wish this on our worst enemy. Believe you me, waking up to the facts is what, believe it or not, L. Ron Hubbard told his stupid followers that they could go cuckoo if they can't confront the truth. Well, the truth is that they're all been scammed. And if they don't go crazy after hearing that, then you know what? They're going to have to do a lot of reconciliation. Because once they understand who they are, once a mirror is put to their face where they cannot continue projecting, that's all they ever did. Our parents just projected on us. We were the problem. We were the ones with the issue. We were the disgusting ones, the degraded ones, the low-toned ones. The list was long about how many things were wrong with us. But you know what? Turns out that it's children that need the protection. It's really that simple. Should be common sense. But you know what? For the people in the back that don't get it, Marilyn, let's just continue repeating ourselves ad nauseum.
Yeah, it's disgusting that it's, this whole thing about, religious freedom, and there's this total umbrella that, that's why they won't do raids because, if you look at the FDLS and taking the 400 children away, and then the Waco thing, and then actually in my state, Vermont, there was a big raid up north for 12 tribes years ago. And yeah, so now they don't want to, upset the apple cart while children are being abused. And like you said, it's an institutionalized, it's right there in front of their faces. It's so frustrating. I just, it's awful.
I mean, yes, it's literally what Florida allowed to do to Jeffrey and Jelaine, but now exponentially worse because you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of underage under the age of 12 that were stuck in roach infested motels. Like all the human trafficking posters is us, Marilyn. We are the child trafficking poster. Yes, the hotel we went to was very luxurious, but the one that we were staying at was disgusting and decrepit. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like all of this, like, oh, we really have to stop trafficking in America. Let's really raise awareness. Again, all the laws are there. And it's unthinkable that with all the laws being there so clear on what trafficking is, passports getting locked up, kids being brought from other countries, parental alienation at an unthinkable level. Nobody ever has alienated kids the way Scientology has done it because they convinced both the parent and the kid that they were adults. I cannot think of a single other institution that does that with a straight face, Marilyn. Even the religious extremists don't call children adults. Now they do normalize, go marry that child, but at least no one's calling them adults, right? Like it's like, what type of religious belief can you really claim to have by calling a child an adult? Seriously, it's a serious question for people. When that can be defended with a straight face in front of a jury, because again, it's like, cases would be so hard to prove. What type of idiotic, stupid ass jury would sit there and listen to the fact that these people were calling kids adults and then really have to ponder whether unthinkable things took place under that banner? Because that's all we need to understand. All these people that make it look like, it would be so difficult to do anything about it. No, it's difficult that nothing has been done about it. That's what's difficult to swallow.
Yeah, well, again, it's that false religious covering saying that they can't go into the quote sacred text of LRH and see all the messed up things that he wrote that are completely abusive to children, right? Like
Well, and again,
the thing about kissing a
the
child and all
sacred
that.
text of a convicted felon. It's like, get your pitch straight, right? It's like, who's the source of this? And in what world is a convicted felon provided? I mean, it's just, in what literal world is a convicted felon No eyes to be seen by no judge. Oh yeah, we wouldn't want to judge what a convicted felon wrote on a piece of paper, including not limited to kiss a 7-year-old girl passionately and blame it on the girl if she has that problem. I mean,
So gross.
in a book that it calls itself The Modern Science of Mental Health. So was it theory, and everybody says, oh, it was just like therapy. Well, what in the hell was it? Because it was 2-week courses inside of hotels, Marilyn. That's what's so sick. That's all Scientology is. In 2-week course, you can become a know-it-all. Oh yeah, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't be more disgusting.
So another thing I wanted to kind of put this out to you is something that really burns my biscuits, is this deflection that I'm seeing. Like somebody said in the chat here about, let me just see if I can find it real quick. Oh, Mena says, all those reports went through Claire to DM and Shelly. That's why I couldn't care less where Shelly is. Like, if anybody is not subscribed to Claire's channel, One for Good, and you go and look, the first thing you see is like, well, the teaser for someone's channel, which I finally did unsubscribe. Not telling anyone to unsubscribe, please don't. Don't. But if you decided to, the video there is where's Shelly. That's what they're presenting as a representative of their channel. That video. What I just feel like it's just deflection. It's just let's get them off looking at where's Shelly.
Again,
Where are the children?
Shellys hiding exactly where Jelaine was before she was nabbed by the federal authorities. Shelly's been having a nice, cushy life for herself. She goes to the little nail salon. She goes to the little chiropractor. All these people that really go, oh my God, a full-grown woman that spent her entire lifetime trafficking kids and minors at an industrial-sized scale really needs the LAPD to go check on her. How many welfare checks have been done on children that are there today as we speak? How many?
Right.
None. There's no welfare checks for children. There's only welfare checks for a grown-ass woman that was literally Ghislaine Maxwell on steroids and a half. I mean, again, Marilyn, like, yeah, she was, Dave's second. She was who helped David do everything he needed for himself. There's a policy called by L. Ron Hubbard called Simon Bolivar, and Simon Bolivar is supposed to be this great, brilliant man, and then he had this, his girl that was handling everything for him, and he talks all about their relationship and disgusting things, like you could go murder someone and don't tell the power, because then the power shouldn't really know, and that's you flowing power to the power if you go do disgusting things on their behalf without them having to know. Like, that was Shelly and David Miscavage's relationships. They're Bonnie and Clyde of child trafficking from hell. And now she was put in retirement and going to do her little nails and keep her cushy jobs in the mountains where, she's being protected.
Yeah.
Where is she gonna run away to? Why would she run away? She's always been treated like some royalty inside of those disgusting scams. What incentive does Shelly have to leave? She loves it in there. So does every other last adult that is there. So does every last adult that has left and hasn't repudiated what in the hell they did to kids at an industrial scale. All of them as a collective. You know what? There's been a lot of finger pointing. Oh, it's this one. Oh, it's that one. How about y'all are in a bucket of your own? Go ask Jody and Ruby what that bucket looks like. Yeah. Because you know what? Before Ruby signed her little plea deal, she did make a deal. She would testify about what type of stuff they were doing, her and Jody together. Where is that type of testification from Mike Rinder? Where is it? Where's his plea deal? If he says he went to the FBI, and he even literally says, Marilyn, that he says even if it would incriminate myself. Really? Like, you told FBI literal crimes, all the crimes you committed against children, and then they just said, You don't need a plea deal. You don't need nothing. You're good to go. Have a great life. You know, don't go to therapy because he doesn't go. Makes a whole song and dance about how he doesn't need it because you know what? I've been told this, and you don't want to end up in front of a mandated reporter. That's a lot different than you don't want to go to therapy. And these felons cannot afford to be in front of a mandated reporter because when they start fessing up to the felonies that we're committing and normalizing, a mandated reporter would have to generate a report of which they would never be able to handle the narrative again. And all they've ever done is manipulate the narrative to keep things always in a spin. It's like a spin. Is it this? Is it that? Is it Shelly? Is it blah? Is it this? How many decades are we at the same place?
Yeah. Right. I have a question from, can I put a question up for you? This is from George Massie. Mike Rinder had possession of Jenna's OSA docs for over 10 years before she got a copy of them. Why? Can you read the question?
Yeah. I mean, I'm literally I'm speechless, Marilyn, and you know it's not easy for me to be speechless, but why? What was the reason? You know, what was the literal reason? Because that everybody is asking themselves logical, common sense questions. And in what world are all of these documents prove nothing? Like, you know, he was calling her a psychotic. He was dead agenting her. Like, what did she do? She was born in that disgusting place, and then she finally had enough and said, I'm getting the hell out of here. That's not called psychotic, you know, like, or they were like, you know, saying how, oh, she's biting these people. And I mean, imagine the desperation, Marilyn. Imagine the desperation that you have to be locked up against your will, hours and hours ad nauseum. They didn't care how. And so again, it's like, and then they want to blame the victim, like you said, to your point. Again, it's like all it ever was blame the victim. Yeah. Everything is the victim. Everything is the kids that they were trafficking are the problem. Well, you know what? That's what pimps do to their whores. They blame everything on them. Oh, you didn't make enough money? That's because you're disgusting. That's because you're worthless. That's because you're this. That's what all the traffickers do. It's trafficking 101. They humanize your subject completely so that they're putty in your hands. Imagine they did that with underage kids below 12 at an industrial size scale.
And another thing I hear a lot that really burns me is this whole idea of, well, Mike, Mark, and Claire, they were victims too. They were trafficked. And Mena has a really good point here. Mena says the elf himself was a victim and was trafficked, meaning David Miscavage, right? Nobody is making excuses for him, but they do for Mike, Mark, and Claire. So, you know, Mike, Mark, and Claire are always about making fun of Dave Miscavige and all that. I don't hear a lot about, you know, advocating for children, advocating for the survivors, advocating for the second and third gems that need help. And they are running a public charity. And they're throwing, now I'm getting on my soapbox. They're throwing these ridiculous liability forms that look like billionaire contracts in their face and making it so hard for them. And it's like, oh, they're victims. I have a hard time feeling sorry for them. I really do.
Well, you know, being a victim of the past does not excuse you covering up crimes, you know, and the repudiation of all of these disgusting facts would be very necessary for anybody to act, right? Because I think we're at a point where, again, going back to your very original question, why hasn't the FBI acted on any of this? Is it, number one, that they're fully complicit in enabling this to happen without a shred of giving an F? or the people that have literally been on for the last 18 years asking where Shelly is ad nauseum while knowing full well that, again, we never asked to be double agents, Marilyn. But imagine that we were recruited to this intelligence operation as kids, put on the very front lines of all of the disgusting and thinkable abominations, and then now have to deal with the fact that we never asked to be there. You know, I signed my first contract at 12 years old. You know what? I didn't ask to be part of this disgusting, horrific hotel. I did not consent, and neither did any of the other kids that have been told that they did and that they deserved it. We didn't, and you know, these people up there, they climbed all the way up to the top. So in what world is there self-preservation of their, you know, highly curated image? Oh, let's really release this. It's all called a short story. Mike Rinder is the master manipulator of short stories. This man is the publicist of L. Ron Hubbard pro bono. For how many decades did he do L. Ron Hubbard's publicity pro bono? And I've said this before too, Marilyn. He could have gone and done that for Steve Jobs. And you know what? He would have a six-figure salary. He would be living it up in the best of America. I'm sure he would have more money than he could ever burn. But instead, he decided to be the pro bono publicist for a fully convicted, indicted felon. And then that felon, he decided to mainstream all his ideas, to sell it to all our parents, to pitch L. Ron Hubbard as an amazing person, as if he didn't go and grab Miriam's mom to help him build a museum where they could pitch L. Ron Hubbard as this great humanitarian that he never was. It's like that's his own daddy figure delusion. But again, Mike Rinder entered the Sea Org as an 18-year-old. You can join the CIA at 18. You can join the army. You can join any type of 18, because I've always said 21 and up. But you know what? They say you can join the army. Okay, fine. So 18. You know what? It's like the worst of the most disgusting abuses, Maryland, and the ones that need the most advocacy is for anything under the age of 18. That's top priority. That's the stuff that sears you for life. You can't turn it off. You can't go to therapy enough. You can't ever get a hold of it because it's already gotten a hold of you, and now you have to just cope like the handicap it is. You know, it's like they blew up our legs, and then what? Now we have to live with the fact that we have no legs. We have no childhood. So we have to build an entire infrastructure around that disability. And you know what? We're not that special because plenty of other people, you and everyone included, knows what it feels like to blow up your legs, meaning your childhood, and not have that, have no safety, what it does to your brain, to your development. Everything is compromised, right? And that's why, you know, it's Mother Nature what we're talking about here, right, Marilyn? Like, what does a mama lion do with her cubs? Like, she doesn't put him on the front lines to go hunt for her. She goes and protects them. She goes and does it for them until they get. So that's what we're talking about, human nature. We're talking about bare minimum. Can you just mimic animals? Can you take a cue from them? Because you know what? They do a much better job than Scientology parents.
Yeah.
Like, as much as they told us, you know, oh, you're not an animal, because that's what they were told. Like, you don't want to be listening to the psychologists because they say you're an animal and you come from monkeys and you're a spirit and you're ageless and whatever. And it's like, you know what? Learn a thing from Mother Nature. Stop pretending that you're so unique and special and whatever. You know, go see how an elephant takes care of their elephants. Go see what zebras do with the small, like, there's examples of this everywhere. It should be like literally innate in your humanity, but apparently breaking news, it isn't.
Well, like you say about the infantilizing of the adults, that's what cults do. They break you down and deprogram you, where or program you into not, you are overriding your basic instincts, you know? Your humanity is taken away, your compassion, your empathy, all of it is stripped. And it really is not an excuse, because it can be, you know, you can choose to break the cycle. And I'm so proud of all you, we call you the gems, you know, second and third gems, that you are breaking the cycle. And I'm just sick to death of, you know, ad nauseum, right? Hearing the excuses. Like another one I wanted to put out to you. I saw this little part of Kelly's video that she put out about the aftermath and Mike Rinder, and she was showing uh, one of the spy files, and it was a list of Mike Rinder's accomplishments, and I believe it's called Mike Rinder's product list, and it was, you know, Lisa McPherson handling all these things he did. In that list was the CAN network, Cult Awareness Network, how he was an integral part of taking over a cult awareness network and bringing them down into bankruptcy. And, you know, a lot of you probably heard of Rick Ross, right? Somebody who, you know, a lot of people respect and have helped, you know, people get out of cults. And he, you know, forced them into bankruptcy, and then Scientology bought them out. And to this day, when you call the Cult Awareness Network, you get Scientology, you get a cult. So that in mind, that he did that, if he still has a shred of that mentality that he's bringing into this space, the movement, right? The ex-Scientology movement, the Aftermath Foundation, is it a little bit of a front group? I don't know, but all I know is that all y'all out there, your money, your time, your support, your eyeballs went to that for many months, if not years, and we have a right to ask questions. And I don't know. I just wanted to get your take on that. How much of that mentality has been brought into the movement of taking down Scientology, helping the victims, helping the survivors, and, you know, this whole movement.
Well, going back to the same point, right? It's like the kids need the advocacy. I don't know in what world you can have a so-called deprogrammer. No one can come and grab you and force you out of your agency as a full-grown adult. You could be,
Right,
injecting yourself with the worst, fentanyl dose. You could be, going into a bar and getting plastered out of your mind and then driving and doing something unthinkable. Like there's so many ways adults can land themselves in a heap of trouble and fraud and this and that, and it's called be an adult. Like no one can come and grab you because that's called kidnapping.
right,
So you cannot just go and grab people, you cannot just go and interject. You can try and be an advocate for them, but half of them don't even appreciate it. I mean, because they don't even want to hear it, because they're so convinced and so confident that whatever in the hell they're doing is correct. Ask Ruby Frankie how confident she was, and she was all about like, oh, the police is corrupt and that one is this, and she had an opinion about everybody, right? And in Scientology, it's the same thing. All these people think that is the government, is the this, is the that, is the blah, blah, blah. It's the people that are committing systemic, institutionalized felonies on underage kids, the people that are
right,
funding it, the people that are hosting the hotel, the people that are going and getting serviced where any of those services are being provided. Because that's what we are now challenging all Scientologists to start answering for themselves, to defend themselves. What type of degenerate are you going to a hotel where underage kids are in every literal echelon of your so-called beloved religious, whatever in the hell you call it? I mean, what are you really worshiping then? Truly, and it's like, again, it's like Mike Rinder thought he did these great achievements to further a criminal conspiracy, is what it's called. It's not called anything else. I did this in furtherance of a criminal conspiracy, which I was a high ranking member of for decades, you know, and he couldn't be more implicated in everything he did as a full grown adult because that's where he put himself. That's where he put himself. And if he has a problem where he put himself, he can go after his own parents and raise concerns. Why did you let me go at 18, mom? Why did you send me across to another country to be trafficked? David was at 16. So David still was trafficked as a minor. Mike Rinder was 18. David Miscavage was 16, being transferred from New Jersey to California. And I definitely did a whole level of reactions of videos on Ron Miscavige alone. Because again, where did the problem start? With David Miscavige, with Ron Miscavige, who sent his own son to the hands of a disgusting degenerate. Like, this is not the Epstein victims where they all ended up as runaways with Ghislaine and Jeffrey paying them to get involved in what they were paying for. Over here, it was parents handing over the kids to the traffickers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parents no longer having any financial responsibilities for underage kids. You are responsible for your kids' parents, breaking news, until they're 18. After that, sure, you can do whatever. But again, it's called, in Scientology, everyone's an adult. I was treated as an adult. My sister was working. Everybody, it's just how it is. Like Grant Cardone's little girl, see her talking. She talks like an adult. And people think, oh my God, she's so great. It's disgusting. It's nauseating to see a 12-year-old all dressed up being used as this, like, it's like, again, Hollywood and Scientology, all about grabbing kids and putting them up on pedestals and raking millions of dollars, right? Like, very similar business model. Very similar one when you really think about it.
Yeah. So bringing this back to, the beginning, we talked about the FBI, and we also talked about why now and how the second gens are starting to ask questions. And I'll be honest, Serge, the past few months, my mind has been blown because this is what, going on 6, 7 years since the Aftermath show started. And like I always say, it really did help me to realize that I was in a full-blown cult, and to help to deprogram and realize what happened to me and start to heal and to start to speak out, because I couldn't even utter Marlene Sweeney's name, my cult leader. I could not utter it. I couldn't utter that I was in a cult. And now I can. But I have to say, my mind has been blown by some of the revelations that have been coming out from you, from Bianca, what a sweetheart, having nightmares about Debbie Cook. It was presented to us all through that show that Ron Miscavige Sr., Debbie Cook, Shelly Miscavige, they were like heroes. They were like, got everyone's sympathy. They were, put on a pedestal. And now I'm hearing all this horrible shit that Mike Brown is saying that Shelly Miscavige was a complete asshole. And I'm like, what? Because the OGs, as we call them, kind of spun that, and it controlled the narrative. And I think now that I forgot what phrase you used last time we were streaming about a decentralized something. Can't remember what you said, but yeah, that now you're all asking questions, and we're actually finally seeing the truth and becoming even more allies with you. So, because it's like I said, these revelations is like, wow, I can't believe that we've been lulled to sleep and just fed a line of bull for all these years.
Well, and it's all part of the betrayal blindness, Marilyn. Because again, like you said, they were experts at building respect, building this. It's all a PR game. It's all a con game. It's all a confidence game. That's all they ever have to sell. Confidence, and I'm very aristocratic over here, and I'm very high and mighty. But it's pathetic. It's pathetic that's what it's been. But that's what it is, right? Because and you see that with the influencers, and you see that with everything. It's all a version of the same BS. People if anything I've learned in Hollywood is that, fame is bullshit. Like, fame is disgusting. It's literally disgusting, and it's like we've seen what it in the cult of Scientology, that's all they were ever selling. Become famous, go get this certificate, go get called this very special title. And it's like that's what you're that's it. Like that's all it takes. Oh, now you're very special because you did get this. You got this award, you got this mention. And then it's like the it's just like feeding their ego to climb and climb and climb to what? For what? You
Yeah,
know,
it smacks a lot. It looks a lot like narcissism, because once people start asking questions, then we're being called names. It's just this disgust and this, just like disdain for anyone who actually was donating to not only the Aftermath Foundation, but their personal, coffers, their personal channels, their purse strings, right? And now we're all a bunch of hate group haters, and we're being called fleas and dogs and all this stuff. It's like, where's this coming from? This is not normal influencers. Like, I don't care. I haven't seen any, like, highly respected people that were famous to turn around and just obliterate their fans that have been helping them, and supporting them. It's just insanity. It's insanity. And I don't get it. Like, don't they have another way of operating? Like, they've been out for so long. Like, you second and third gens, you seem to be pretty well adjusted to the quote outside world in comparison. That's just the way I see it.
well, thank you. I mean, I think that we are all struggling a lot, and we had learned to, you know, make ourselves presentable for when, we need to. I think behind the scenes we are all struggling still a lot, and there's a lot of dysfunction and a lot of toil, right? Like all of these things coming into the surface. This is not hard. This is very hard for people to have. I mean, you saw Aaron just talking about like all this stuff. It's like breaking that. It's like it's not human to be on these stories. Like these stories take a toll on, and that's why I always say everyone that is holding space for us and listening to us is like, that's already doing a lot. Like that's already healing. Just the fact that we're holding space. We're not coming here with an agenda, but we are raising awareness. That's all we could ever do.
Right. Oh, I think he froze. He looked so cute when he froze. Is he frozen or is that me, guys? He's in the car, so it could be him. Just let me know. Is Serge frozen? Yes, Serge. We love and support. Thank you. He's frozen. Okay. All right. I will. Though there was someone that accidentally sent a large super chat, I will look into that later on. Not sure who that was. Hi, guys. Oh, Virginia. Yes. If Virginia Martinez, if you're still in the chat, if you can please email me at coffeecultsandcrafts@gmail.com. I'll see what I can do. I could probably, I don't know if you have to do it or I have to do it, but you can contact customer support. So, and just want to say, crafts, chats, and catastrophe. Thank you so much for joining. I have a new cup. Yay. And you get some emojis and a little bear thing next to you. And I'm gonna be doing some videos at some point. But isn't this amazing, guys? Serge is just such a treasure, and he's so well spoken. Now you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. I have some things starred. If as long as they're not questions for Serge, I can read some of them. And we've got a little bit of a small group because everybody's live. It's Saturday, but anybody watching on the replay, thank you. And thank you for all that are here in the chat. So I'm going to I'll save a few in case he comes in. I'll have to put my phone on in case he texts me. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. That's a good question, Flea Squad. Who had to audit Mike Render? I'll leave that up in case. I'll leave it starred in case Serge comes back. Yeah, I kind of think that should have been in Mike Render's book, but I don't remember. Fiona Kennedy. I saw those poor kids in Dublin too, Maryland, having to go through the Purif after being trafficked from Eastern European countries. Yes, a lot of them had last names that sounded Eastern European. Yeah, it's just awful. It really is. That made me cry. It really did. Yes, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Summer Savage. The issue today is that the children who were abused have now grown up and there is a reckoning coming. Yeah. The rise of the gems, right? Yeah. Philosophy. What happened to not criticizing critics of the cult, Mike? Exactly. Didn't they have some code of conduct that was voted in? You say that you aren't allowed to do that. Remember, that's why Aaron was out ethics. Yep. And as Marisa Dianetics would say, it was basically a old-fashioned ethics handling is what it looked like to them. Yeah. Oh, taking time to play with your new emojis. Burning biscuits. Yeah, my biscuits are burning. Definitely. And you got them all. That's great. That's great. Yeah, guys, if you anybody wants to send me some picture of their, I was just thinking about Maya had just sent in another sketch that she did. She did one of Rodney burning biscuits, and then she did a spatula. So I'll have to show that next time I do a solo. I don't have anything ready today, but we need philosophy. We need action, not story time. It's controlled opposition, and Mike is an expert at it. Yeah, I agree. It's really sad. I will tell you something, guys. I can't go into detail, but I was tagged, or I had a comment yesterday about Mike Render's blog, and he had said in the comments that that he had emailed me, and for some reason I couldn't find it, and then I finally did find it. I think it went into spam under like a different name, different email. So I did find it, and I read it. It was mostly a dead agent pack on somebody, and also basically asking me to join the Aftermath board, which they've been doing this willy-nilly with everybody, that people they don't even know. They don't really know me, and I sat on it, half the night, in the middle of the night. I did email back. I tried to be as respectful. I pretty much just ignored the stupid dead agent pack, because it was a bunch of lies. I did talk to the person it was about, and they completely showed me receipts. It was a pack of lies, right? But I did say something to Mike about, well, a lot of some things about how I just focused on the Aftermath Foundation, and a lot of the points that I've been bringing up in all the streams in the past months, I just kind of put it into a little capsule version, hoping to hear back from him. I was trying to appeal to some humanity within him. I believe there's that in everyone. And like I said, I did a stream the other day. I read out what I had originally said to him, and it wasn't approved, but he did email me. So he said it was because he didn't want to reveal all these, it was BS, guys, but reveal all this stuff. So I'm waiting back to hear, but the only thing I did offer is I don't want to be on the board. And I don't know anybody personally that does want to be on the board, given the current, state of the board and the makeup of the board. And, it's been brought up, and it was brought up again by him in this email of well, it's hard to find anybody who wants to, deal with OSA and be fair gamed and stuff. I think OSA would be the least of my problems on that board, honestly. I wouldn't be so worried about OSA as having to deal with all this stuff unless it changes. So I basically told them, unless things change, I don't see the Aftermath Foundation doing too well. I'm not saying I don't want it to go down. I hope it doesn't, and it may survive as one of the many, hopefully one of the many nonprofits that will help people get out of Scientology and heal from it and get on their feet. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I don't know. I don't know if at any time, I really hesitate. And I have done it. I've hesitated to share, personal emails, personal messages and things like that. And except, I did recently, and I do want to, just to end off, I don't know if Serge is coming back, and I do want to say something that after many weeks of having to deal with, I hate to bring up his name again, Mitch Brisker, I had shared some messages, and I laid it out as best as I could, right? And I did say something the other day I want to retract. It was definitely over the top, which I shouldn't have done, so I want to apologize. I was talking about Mitch, and this part is true, that he is contacting many women and, trying to garner their sympathies. And in some cases, there were women that were wanting to help him get money or give him money or something. In one case, a lady that I talked to was in a wheelchair, that her friend had sent me the messages. So, yeah, I had said, just be careful of people that have a certain personality type that can be very, very charming and then get you to feel sorry for them, and then, like, hurt you or abusive or whatever. I was talking about mentally. I wasn't talking about physically. But I might have mentioned Ted Bundy because and I shouldn't have. I apologize for that. I was not trying to compare him in that way. I know that, he's not going to hurt anybody in that way. I was just, making a very bad example of an analogy of, of someone who, he would be very charming, pretend to be injured or down and out or whatever. Women would try to help him, and then, they would get hurt. So no need to apologize. Well, I just wanted to, because I had gotten a little bit of feedback from like one or two people, and yeah, I just wanted to do that. And when I misspeak, I just want to say that. And I hate to even tag this on the tail end of a great stream with Serge. Thank you so much, Serge, if you're still listening. It's been amazing. And yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just look. There's a couple more things I wanted to bring up. Oh, Mena, you got gifted a membership. Yay. Thank you to whoever gifted the memberships. That's amazing. I don't see that now. It might have been from yesterday. Yeah, Serge was frozen. All right. Serge, if you're listening, Serge, this is from Philosophy. Yes, Serge, we love and support you. Thank you for being so brave and fearless. Yes, he is. He's amazing. Philosophy again. I wanted to read this as well. It's textbook, really. We should have seen this coming. I was totally sucked in at first, but then once you hear them repeating their stories and going nowhere. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I was, like I said, I was kind of like lulled to sleep. I was just, kind of bought whatever they were, whatever they were selling, right? And it's been said many times, it's like, well, no one complained about the board members being married until this thing with Aaron happened. That is true. But it definitely woke people up and made them start asking questions. And what kind of started the ball rolling for me was this past, I think it was the end of summer, maybe in August, when they voted Matt. I think they'd already voted Amy in. They voted Matt in, and I was like, 3 couples? It's like, wait a minute. 2 couples might be a coincidence. 3 couples is like, things make you go, right? So that was like, I don't know about that. The other thing was that people were starting to come out, like Serge, like Bianca, talking about Debbie Cook, talking about some of these abuses and asking for accountability, and telling their stories. So yeah, that's definitely, why now? Well, why not? Why not? It's never too late to ask questions. It's never wrong to ask questions. So just want to see if there's any more things that, oh, you dropped your spatula when you heard your name. George Massie. They're funny. Yeah. And Serge, if you're listening, I think I'll end with this. BJ's Critters, Serge, you always amaze me at your knowledge and perseverance about exposing the horrors of Scientology. Absolutely. Thank you, Serge. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. And we will talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.